All right, now on Tennis Channel Inside In, special guest for this week's show, keeping with the American theme, the American female women's theme. This player has reached her career high, number 43 in the world. She also hates cranberry sauce and is an expert gingerbread house maker. It's Shelby Rogers back on the Tennis Channel Inside In podcast, all the way from Madrid. Shelby, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me back. Good to know I didn't ruin my shot the last time. Appreciate that.
No, and I like to add some fun details. I had to dig deep to find some stuff.
Yeah, you dug way deep, didn't you? That's hilarious. You're reminding me of facts about myself. Actually, it's funny. No, cranberry sauce is super overrated. Sorry, guys.
Well, it's not Thanksgiving season yet, so I don't think we're going to offend too many people. But I don't actually necessarily disagree with you there. But coming off of the start of this season, Shelby, it's interesting for you because you got to do something that I don't think anybody in tennis really gets to do, and play two back-to-back tournaments in your hometown, which two back-to-back in the same event rarely happens. I mean, that is the product of a pandemic, but two tournaments in Charleston. Results were okay. I know there was the injury, a little bit of an ab strain at the end, but what was that experience like, getting to stay and have an extended stay and play a lot of tennis in Charleston?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it was a little bit different this year because I couldn't stay at home or anything, so I was at the hotel with all the other players. It was kind of just like any other event. But just being in my hometown, just, having that vibe that I'm there and I'm in Charleston, it was awesome. Getting a bunch of texts, people are watching my matches, things like that. So it was super cool to have that support always. But I will say I'm a fan of the back-to-back events in the same location. We did it in New York last year. I think more cities should take note. Hint, hint. It makes it easier on the players. We don't have to travel, and it's, we get all our testing done, and it's just a seamless transition. But obviously Charleston's an incredible place, and Bob Moran, Eleanor Adams, they did an incredible job. I think all the players were really excited to stay there, but especially me. And then I got to see my family for a couple days after, which was an extra bonus.
Oh, that's so cool to have the family there and get to see them. Some players, though, might think that there's more pressure with playing in front of everybody, playing at home, friends that are coming out of the woodwork. This is their one chance to see you throughout the year. Did you feel that pressure at all?
10 years ago, yes. I've played that tournament so many times now. It's a little better now. And there weren't fans this year anyway. So it was just the players watching each other as usual, just another week on tour. But I think I've adjusted well playing there in Charleston. But yeah, the first couple times I played, it was a disaster and had some pretty embarrassing moments there on court. But, all good experiences, and we learned from them. So that's all we can ask.
Well, I think you might be selling it short, because wasn't the first time you played, you were like 17 and you lost a 3-set match. Like, that's not, you're a senior now.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like shaking, I could barely hold my racket.
Be that as it may, I understand you there. Looking at it first, though, I mean, off the top, how are you feeling after, the way it went down in the Kovanic match? It was a grueling match. You played great tennis, but, you admitted you had some health issues and just a slight ab strain. So first and foremost, how are you feeling?
Yeah, much better. Took a few days off to recover. I mean, I've played a lot of tennis this year already, which is a good problem to have, I guess we should say. But I mean, Kovanic had an incredible run there in Charleston. She was feeling that court. I mean, she was playing so well, serving well, moving probably better than 90% of the players that were in the event. So it was really nice to see her back, actually, because she was, had some trouble with injuries of her own. So I tried, I didn't really want to take anything away from her because she had a couple great weeks, but it was frustrating to not have my serve in the last match. At the same time, I was able to take a few days off, recover, and get back to working on the serve a little bit, and hopefully can have a good week or two here in Madrid.
I hope that that's the case as well. And looking at you playing not only in those events, but growing up on that surface, the hard true, we've talked about this a bit. It's not the same as the red clay, but it's about the closest thing that we have here in the States. How do you think that helps you going into this run, a traditional clay court run now that isn't kind of thrown together like the end of last year?
Yeah, it's been cool to kind of see the different results that my game has produced. I mean, growing up on the clay, I guess I'm pretty comfortable with the movement. And, just the creativity within the points is, it just adds a different element to the game, which I think is a little bit more exciting. You see some different people start winning and a couple more upsets here and there. But then you come on the red clay too, and that's a whole different game as well. So it's just a fun part of the year. Not fun for the laundry. The socks get a
No.
little ruined, but other than that, I really enjoy it. And I'm thankful that, my coaches kind of developed my game for the clay. But I've also, won tournaments indoor hard and pretty much every surface. But I mean, quarterfinals of the French Open was kind of my big breakthrough. So hopefully the clay courts show me some good results this year too.
I was really impressed with the number of players that played Charleston this year. Everybody wanted to, get action, and you had a lot of the top, European, Australian players that came out to play in that field, which had to be great for the hometown and everything there. The last thing on this tournament, you had one great result, in my opinion. That was the Anisimova comeback match. Now, in tennis, it's a little different beast, and you're down a double break in that second set, a set and a double break. Mentally, how are you checking in and staying engaged in that match? Because I know there's a lot of players, and I understand why, would think, okay, this is probably not going to happen. They're still trying, but they're not going to, be able to mentally believe they can win. How did you stay locked in that match?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I was getting beat pretty badly. I mean, there's no getting around that. You can't sugarcoat that, right? She was playing super well. I was allowing her to play well on top of it. It was just kind of all going her way for a minute there, or for a long minute. And honestly, I just kind of told myself, look, it can't get much worse. Like, let's try to leave the court feeling good about one thing. Cause at that moment, I did not feel good about one thing. I was watching a lot of balls go by me. So, it was trying to simplify things, make some balls and cliche one point at a time, but honestly, yeah, it couldn't get much worse. So, and then she took an injury timeout and I was like, hang on a second. Okay, maybe there is a chance,
No.
like the Dumb and Dumber quote. So you're saying there is a chance. But no, it was a crazy match. I think we had a little bit of everything. um Both of us just trying to build character out there. I don't know.
Well, it's funny, but it's true. It's that you have to kind of believe in yourself, and you have to understand that there's going to be days when you're just not going to win, where the player is playing too good. But opening the door, I think, is the way I would put it, where gain some confidence, start playing better. And then if they kind of push it open themselves on the other side with an injury, or their play comes back to earth, then it's possible. But it starts with, like you said, just finding one thing to get better at and build on something one point at a time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not over until the last point is won, and that's the really cool thing about tennis. You can come down every week. You see someone coming back from match point down. You saw Rafa do it. You see, every week somebody come back from, being down. So it's, there you go. There's a lesson here.
Yeah.
Never give up, guys.
Somewhere in there. Shelby, the last time we talked, you were literally driving down to Charleston for that exhibition. You were getting ready to play in front of your hometown in a different setting. And you're also on the comeback trail, ranked outside the top 100, coming off of some injuries and just trying to put it together. How were you in that moment? I know you were positive with everything. How were you able to still believe that I can get back to the top 50, to competing in these tournaments? How was that self-belief still there at a time when your game and your health wasn't up to form?
Yeah, that was a very loud conversation with the
There's a lot
road
of
in the
background noise.
background. Yeah, thanks for putting up with that. No, I mean, I think in that conversation, I was just grateful. I was super excited to be on tour playing, because for a while there, I didn't think I was going to be able to. So I think that perspective has been a challenge to try and keep. And I think it's one of the most important things that I've tried to focus on, is like, enjoy this process, enjoy this moment, because there's always going to be goals you want to achieve. You're always going to want to do better, 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 but enjoy it while it's happening, like appreciate all that you've accomplished up until this point too.
I've read some of your quotes where you've also mentioned that fitness and nutrition is key for every athlete. And especially during the pandemic, when it was at a premium, getting the chance to work out, to hit the tennis courts at times were taken away. How did that, mindset come to be for you? How did you reinforce that, look, if this is going to happen one way or another, to give myself the opportunity, that you needed to make those adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, being in shape is huge. After my knee surgery, I was out of shape, and I can tell you getting back in shape is one of the hardest things ever. So, I think during the lockdown, that was almost my motivation that I didn't want to be out of shape again because it's so difficult. And tennis training is just so hard. I mean, no matter what you do in the gym, coming back on court is a different beast. So, I think trying to prepare for matches and just have that mentality of like, keeping my goals in mind, but also like my body's got to be healthy and fit in order to achieve these things. So I think that was just at the forefront of my mind. And thankfully it's paid off because it was not easy. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to keep it going. I'm not, one of these young 18-year-olds anymore either. So it's definitely learning how to listen to my body and adjust the training regiments and, the diet and the warm ups a little bit longer now, just things like that. So just listening to my body.
That last part is so true in all sports. And the only way to learn that is through time. Because when you're 18, 19, 20, you're ignorant. You don't know how good you have it and how you can just recover fast from things. It's like being able to eat a bunch of junk food and not have anything
Yeah,
happen.
I used to make fun of the girls that were in the gym, after practice for 30 minutes, like cooling down. I'm like, what are they doing? I don't understand. I'm just, going out for more cardio or for another run or whatever. I get it now, guys. I get it.
Shelby Rogers on Tennis Channel Inside In. From that moment in Charleston, it was an exhibition. You take it to the summer, and the first big tournament, the first big result you had was that top seed open, the inaugural one in Louisville, where you start out being a top up and comer, Leylah Fernandez, and then it's a match against Serena, which first time you played, you got the win. Did that moment, did that run in the tournament all the way to the semifinals, did that feel like a breakthrough for you, or maybe a better word to put it would be like a reemergence into the scene of what you can do out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think regardless of who I played that week, just getting wins right off the bat and coming out of lockdown with a couple victories was huge for, my confidence, just being like, okay, yes, I did enough, during the time off to be able to play at this level still. So I think just mentally all around, it was a good start for me. I think it would have been really tough had I gone, a couple tough losses right off the bat. So I'm definitely thankful for that week for sure, and for those guys, braving it and putting on the first event during a pandemic. They did an amazing job, but we were also fortunate to be able to have that opportunity. And I think, being able to take advantage of it when nobody really knew what their level was. Everybody was kind of on an even playing field there. And then, yeah, I think it was a great start and luckily kept the momentum going a little bit.
I know tennis players can be a little superstitious, maybe weird about the draw and looking at who's in front of them. What was the first thought process when you saw you're going to be playing Serena?
I mean, at the beginning of the tournament, you see that she's in a 250 event, and it's definitely something you don't see a lot. You know what I mean? So you're already kind of thinking about it. I saw she was in my half of the draw, and I'm like, man, that would be incredible. Like, I've always wanted to play her because what's the first question people ask you when you say you're a tennis player? Oh, have you played Serena or Venus? Well, now, yes, I have. So that's, there's something to say for that. But I think it was probably, like I said, a little bit different because nobody knew how they were going to be playing. The playing field was a little bit even. There were no fans. It was just, players on a tennis court. It was kind of weird for all the players that week getting adjusted to the new format and the bubble life and all this stuff. So, I mean, I've looked up to her my whole life, so it was super cool to play her. And now, yeah, it's awesome to say that I did have the win. I mean, I don't think she played her best tennis by any means, but hey, you know what? I'll take it.
You had the rain delay in there too. I remember that threw a wrench into the day's plans too.
Yeah.
But no, one
I've
of the
had some dramatic matches over the last, year and a half. Yeah.
you have, but one of the common themes in there is fighting and overcoming break deficits, super long tie breaks where it could have gone either way. And I am just curious whether it's the Serena match or just a big match in general, what the rituals are like. What do the pregame routines? I know you're a diehard hockey fan as well, but do the pregame routines, do they change a little bit or are they consistent throughout?
Oh man, yeah, I don't have anything super weird like those hockey players. There, I love seeing those videos. Those guys get some weird stuff going, but I mean, I always do the same kind of warm up. I journal the morning before my match. Try to get some thoughts down. Always go over the game plan with my coach, just little things like that. But I'm not really superstitious about too much. Just try to keep the positive energy up going on the court and have a good idea of what I'm trying to do when I go out there.
For sure. It totally makes sense. And before we get to the run that
Make sure
happened,
the hair's right.
make
You
sure the
gotta
hair's
you
right.
gotta make sure the bun
Yeah.
is
Oh,
secure.
water in the mirror beforehand, slick it back. Yeah, you're a hockey player at heart. I can tell. Before we get to the U.S. Open run, just a little bit about your game during all this. You've been open about being more aggressive, being more confident on the serve and on the return. And I looked it up. You're at top 10, I think eighth in aces this year on the WTA tour. So I'm just curious if that was more strategic, if that was something on the practice courts that you were, making it known that you have to work on, or if that's just with tennis and with sports in general, just gaining confidence has allowed you to play more freely and better.
I think a little bit of both. With the time off, I had a good chunk of time to not change things, but just work on things in a little more volume when we were able to get on a tennis court. But I think focusing on how I start the point was definitely important, especially with the serve, because it's the one thing you can control on the tennis court. It's the one stroke you have complete control of. So I think getting that down was important for me. And, I communicated that with my coach as well. So hopefully I can keep that up. Thanks for those stats. I'm going to go write that down. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, how you start the point, you can impose yourself so much right away. So I think it's a big part of my game that I would like to continue to develop as well.
Yeah, on the return front, it's interesting because it seems so simple, but there's a confidence factor in this that if you get a good look at a second serve, you might as well just take your cut and put the pressure on, especially when you've had some return success like yourself. I thought that's been interesting too. And then there's a direct correlation with confidence and results. I mean, I think we see it. You start to play better and you start to get those opportunities, and the numbers just kind of move in correlation.
Yeah, sure. And I think if you're serving well too, or having a bunch of easy holds or confident holds, then that alleviates a little bit of pressure on your return game. So you can swing a bit more freely, like you were talking about. So you can just take a little more risk, go for a little bit more. If you're confident that you can hold your serve after, if it doesn't go well in the return.
So from the top seed open and some tennis in the summer, then it was on to New York City. Now, first off, how long were you in New York City in that bubble? Because I know they played Cincinnati there, and I just you had a deep run at the U.S. Open. So how many weeks was it for you there?
I think I got maybe 28 nights on my Marriott account now from the Long Island Marriott. Thank you. Keep that Marriott status. Yeah, we were there an exceptionally long time. Enough time for me to order a microwave from Amazon.
That's like a residency. You're
To the
almost like
hotel. Yes,
you're like doing a Vegas
it
residency.
was
It's
my
like
new
going to
apartment.
Texas. Well, it started with a Masters event, which I think a lot of people that are casual tennis fans don't understand how tough those fields are. And at your ranking at the time, you had to play qualifying, and you lost to Teichmann again, who's been playing great tennis herself. But that was the second round of qualifying. So from there, it was losing qualifying, but still knowing that you're going to have the U.S. Open. Were you feeling like it was a bit of a letdown that you weren't able to play in the Western and Southern Open in New York, or was it just on to the next one? We're in the U.S. Open. Let's take it positive one match at a time.
Yeah, honestly, I was super positive. I beat Gasparian first round of qualies, who is I mean, she's an incredible player,
Yeah.
and when she's serving well, is very tough to beat. And then I played Teichmann again, who I lost to in the semifinals just the week before. But all the headlines say, Rogers makes semis and then crashes out in qualies, when I'm playing the same ranked
Yeah.
girl. So the media gets a little bit dramatic sometimes, but I was feeling great about my game. I mean, I thought I had some chances, in that match as well. And then, from there it was just trying to keep uh or trying to stay focused and get some good practice in before the Open, because I mean, there's a huge Grand Slam coming up, in your home country. You better be ready.
I almost think that would help you, not necessarily like no one wants to lose early in a tournament, but not having to go anywhere. You can just go back to the hotel, no travel. All right, we got work to do. Tomorrow it starts a new journey, a new tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge supporter of the tournaments in the same location multiple weeks, but it was nice too because, I played some doubles with Jessica Pegula there as well, both weeks. So I was able to still be competitive, get some practice in, and then move into the US Open and keep my form up in a way. But yeah, you're familiar with the site, you're familiar with everything, you get into this routine. It gets a little bit redundant, I'm not going to lie, but I mean, they had some activities for us, a little mini golf and some games around the little arcade. So it was fun, but it was a long trip. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You did play doubles with Pagulia. You were buying low on that stock before the skyrocket happened this year. I mean, it's been crazy though to see all of you. And just a little side note, your generation of female players, American players, have just kind of ballooned. And a lot of it's been later, what would be traditionally later in their careers, mid-20s, late 20s. What do you think, if you had to put a reason on it, why that is, that all of you, like a lot of you players that came up together are all starting to have success?
I guess that's $1 million question. I wish I knew, but I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'll say that. It's been fun with Jenny and Jess and all of the American girls doing so well right now. I'm just glad I'm not outside of it, watching them all do it
Yeah,
without me.
top 50, you're
But
right
I
there.
think, we just encourage each other and see each other doing well, and it just becomes more realistic, more feasible. That these top players are beatable, and I think that belief is one of the things that's huge for all of us. But hopefully we can keep going. We got many more things to accomplish. Come on.
Many more things and many more years. Everybody's looking at this U.S. Open run that you made the quarterfinal to, and the Kvitova match, which I want to get to in a second. But you beat a very good player, Rybakina, in the second round. I think that's the match that the tennis fans and the people that study the bracket were looking at and saying, "Whoa, this is a result." Now, in the moment, you understand how good and how talented this player is. What was it that you had to work on to beat a player like her, who's up and coming for sure in the tennis ranks?
Yeah, absolutely. And another player that can, serve you off the court if she wants to, just hit winners from anywhere on the court, a lot of power, and a lot of confidence, a lot of big matches that she's won already in her short career so far. I mean, she made a bunch of finals last year or, before lockdown. And she had a pretty good run going. So definitely not the easiest draw for me there in New York, but was nice to get out of that one in straight sets, hindsight, because the Kvitova match was looming in the future, and that was going to take a lot out of me.
That it did. I don't use the term war in sports a lot, but that was a war. And, the third set tiebreaker that you win, just looking at that match on the surface, Petra's still playing great tennis, has won a ton of titles, has won Wimbledon twice, but you'd played before once and you'd beat her. Now, different circumstances for sure, but did you get confidence in that Petra's a great player, but I have beaten her before?
No, that had nothing to do with it because she can step on the court and win whenever she wants to. I think she hit 50 something winners that match. I literally felt like I was under fire, speaking of war. But I came off the court and I just didn't understand how I won the match because I felt like she was just dominating every single point, but she's an incredible fighter, incredible player, and such an inspiration. And I feel like we always have such tough battles. So I mean, you know what to expect when you go out on the court with her, and she's going to hit the ball very hard and hit a lot of winners. So
That lefty serve, I don't think we've seen with her height, especially anything like that in women's tennis, where especially from the ad court, it's like, what are we doing here?
yeah,
But
it's really tough. And the courts in New York were lightning. They were so quick. And so playing her there was definitely a large challenge. The legs were a little sore after that match, trying to absorb her pace for sure.
I can imagine. But you did pull it off. You win. You save 4 match points. And Shelby, you have this reputation of being, the nicest girl on tour and all these things and the friendly one. But in that match, I think you did open a lot of eyeballs and show people, look, there's a fighter here, because that was maybe not the I'll put it this way, the highest quality match, because you both were just taking so much out of each other. But by the end, it was just emotion. It was just who wants it more. And it was ability to just find a way to win. And that's what I think opened up a lot of eyes to people, is that this really nice, sweetheart type of girl can also fight out there and really be scrappy when she needs to.
That's right. I can have a different identity when I step on the court, right? I can be this fighter and bring out a great product and entertain people and fight to the finish because it's ultimately the sport I love. But I also respect everyone that I play. And I think off court, they deserve that respect. And I see these girls every week. So if I don't get along with them and have a bunch of fun, I'm going to be miserable all year. So that's just how I look at my job and my career. And I try to enjoy it as much as I can.
I had one other thing on that I wanted to ask before I forget. What's it like at 6-6 in the third set tiebreaker? when you have that little changeover and you either just saved a match point or blown a match point, and basically it's a race to 2 points in a row essentially to win the match. What's the mental gymnastics, the mental mindset there?
So it was actually the point before I missed a backhand down the line. I don't know if they showed it on TV, but I actually threw my racket after, because then now she was going to be serving for the match at 6-5.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just blew it. You overcooked it down the line. Like, I'm really happy you went for that shot, but you missed it. And now it's over, because she's serving 6-5 for the match. And then all of a sudden the wind picks up a little bit. I think she threw in a double fault there, and I'm switching sides like, okay, so you're saying there's a chance now, like, let's keep fighting here. So I think there was a little bit of energy boost there for a moment. You feel like you took your shot, missed it, missed opportunity, great tournament. And then all of a sudden you're back in it, trying to fight for the win and get to the quarterfinals. So it was a lot of emotions that match, a huge roller coaster up and down for both of us, I think. But I mean, that's part of the fun too. And that's why we play, and that's the battle. And that's what all of us athletes love.
That was a great reaction when you won the match too, showing the emotion. Of course, we wish the fans were there. It was,
it echoed a little bit in that empty stadium for sure. Yeah,
it did echo. And not to get too serious here, but we talked about your run at the French Open the last time you were on, making the quarterfinal of a slam. And now you do the same thing at the US Open. You get that big result you were looking for. In 2018 with the injury, you were ranked 780 and now back to the top 50, beating a Grand Slam champion in a major. Did you wonder if these moments were ever going to happen again? When you thought about it, the training process, the rehab, all the practice courts that you had to play on, did you ever wonder if these moments would happen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't know if I was going to play. I didn't know if I'd be able to be at this level again. I mean, that doubt kind of always creeps in, but I was just thankful to have the right people around me, encouraging me and pushing me to always be my best, and that I could get back to where I was before and even further. So I'm very thankful for that. And I'm excited that I've done that so far, but I'm also excited to see how much farther I can go.
Shelby Rogers on Tennis Channel Inside Out. That's great advice too, to just stay positive and appreciate what you have. And, when you're a younger player, you don't understand how tough and how difficult it is as when you get older. And not to date you or speak of age a little bit, but you've gotten to your career high in ranking a lot later than I think most players normally reach that mark. Do you think this is more of a byproduct of tennis, that players are aging a little better? Do you think it's specific to you and the injury history that you've had? Why do you think you're a late bloomer, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that injuries definitely had a play in it. I also think just, my body developing it the right way, learning how to manage my game a little bit better, becoming a little more mature, understanding, how to manage travel, all these different things just takes maybe a little bit longer for some players. Also just, believing that you belong. I mean, there's so many different factors that play into it, but would I like to have that year and a half off, that I missed? Yeah, of course. But did I learn things that I, wouldn't have without it? Yeah, absolutely. So I'm super grateful for it. I think, everything happens for a reason, right? So I've just got to use what I've been dealt and make the most of it. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do now.
You learned some things like how hard it is to be on the other side of it, broadcasting matches, because it's a tiring
yeah, exactly. I was more nervous commentating than I was playing a tennis match. Absolutely.
And you mentioned your goals and how excited you are for what you've accomplished, but still having more to accomplish, more things to check off your checklist. I'm just curious, what are some of those things in the short term and in the long term that you're looking to achieve?
I mean, number one's always stay healthy so I can keep playing, win a WTA title. That's something that I haven't done yet. That's at the very top of my list. And just keep moving the ranking up and keep evolving my game and, beating the best players in the world. I think like I said, there's always more that you can do. Even the best players in the world have goals, and want to get better. So I think just keeping a good perspective, staying healthy, and then, winning all the matches.
That's a good goal. I don't know if it's realistic, but maybe we'll have to talk to Roger and see if that was his goal back in the mid 2000s there. No, it's the right attitude to have. It's something to go forward. And I just want to know, what can we do? What can I do so that you avoid Ash Barty in these draws?
Well, nothing at the moment because I play our first round in Madrid. So maybe next week we can try again. But
Like a seance or something, you know.
yeah, exactly. No, I mean, loving the challenge. Like I say, every time I play her, that's what we play for, to play the best in the world. And if you gotta to beat the best, to be the best. So it's going to be another great challenge and another opportunity to really see what my game can do. So if you can't get excited about playing Ash, I don't know what you will get excited for.
And you give her tough matches too. I mean, she's on another tear, and she's, everybody talks about you being nice. She's super nice as well. It's ridiculous how humble she seems to maintain after all her success. But your matches have been tough with her. Twice in Australia, in her home country, both were pretty exciting. And even in Charleston, it was a good competitive match. So your game is not far off of somebody who, I guess that's another positive sign, is the best or the second best in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's one of my favorite people on tour. Love her and how down to earth she is, and just an incredible human being all around, as well as talented at pretty much everything she touches. So, I mean, I'm excited for another battle. I know it's not going to be easy, and she's been such an incredible ambassador for our sport and is a great number one for us. So, couldn't be more proud of her for that. But at the same time, yeah, ready for ready for another great match. And she's definitely not going to give you any easy points. So, yeah, I'll prepare again and, just try to bring my best out there.
I'll get the Ouija board out next time, and we'll try to figure out a way to just mix up you having to play her. A couple more things before we wrap this up with Shelby Rogers on Tennis Channel Inside In. All right, we'll talk about it. The Tampa Bay Lightning, your Tampa Bay Lightning were Stanley Cup champs last year. So congrats on that. And
thank you. Let's go.
I just want to know what the experience was like, because you have a lot of travel. You were playing tennis in different parts of the world, so not able to maybe see all these games and moments live. But what was the run like watching them, with the exception of the 5 overtime game, because we don't have to mention that, but just winning the Stanley Cup, what was that?
Oh, like? we can mention that all you want. I literally turned on the game, went to practice, came back, and it was still on. But it was really cool, actually, because the playoffs were going on while we were in New York, and they had this really cool outdoor area with a big screen and projector. So a lot of the games were being played. The tennis players were enjoying it, watching some different sports out there. But I would post every time they'd win a game, and everybody was getting so annoyed because every time they would win, I would post something on my Instagram, and I'd get so many rolling eye emojis, and but it was really cool to watch them win. And go all the way, just after the big letdown from a great season before. And then you saw Stamkos come back after his injury and score a goal.
That
and
was the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't have a tear
before.
during that, you're not a fan. It was just, yeah, to have him actually play a role in winning the Stanley Cup too is cool. But everything was just picture perfect about that win. Hopefully they can repeat this year. It'll be a fun one to watch as well.
Well, there's nothing better than that celebration on the ice after they've won, and the handshake line, and then seeing each player, especially the ones that haven't won before, lift the cup for the first time. It just gives you chills watching it. But I do think that this year they have a chance. They're in the mix again with the new format, with the divisions. You also mentioned that your coach is a Panthers fan. We've got other fans of players on tour, other players on tour that are fans of different teams. I know Isner's a big Hurricanes fan. Sebastian.
Oh, yes, he is. And I don't hear the end of it, especially now they've already clinched. So
yeah. But you got your coach in one corner, Isner in the other. These are division matchups. So I know
brutal.
The trash talk's got to be getting pretty good, especially in Team Rogers.
Yeah, Isner was throwing me a little trash talk in Miami. I think the Canes are about to play the Bolts or something. He's like, we're coming for you. And now they're first in the division. I can't stand it. But you know what? Playoffs are what matter. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and you got Kucherov coming back, so I think you'll be fine there.
Oh, fingers crossed. I hope so.
Great stuff here with Shelby Rogers. A couple more things before we let you go here. Props to you for on your up and coming. I think you're getting close to that psychology degree, if I have this right.
Look at you keeping tabs on me. I am taking my final exam this week, you guys, and then we have a degree. It's very exciting.
Indiana. So you're going to rock the red and white on the court now? Is that going to be your unofficial team school for?
I'm just going to be playing in my cap and gown. Let's not kid around. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Hey, I don't think there's a rule against it. We can check. I think that's a loophole in what you can get away with.
I think the tassel might get in the way.
Maybe we'll have to check the specs on that one. And unfortunately with the Ash Barty match coming up, I bring that up because your consistency this year, something that you've been striving to get better, has been pretty good. You don't have any first round losses. And I remember earlier in the conversation, you said that, just not coming out with an L is great for your confidence and great for you to get reps. So how do you work on, your consistency and the ability to start out of the gate strong and not have that letdown in the first match?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's a thing that a lot of the top players do really well. Week to week, you see a lot of the same names in the later rounds, and it's something that I've had to learn and I'm still learning how to do. So it's just being committed to the way you want to play and what you want to do on the court, day in and day out, in practice, in matches. And going back to that identity, being true to yourself and being confident and believing in yourself. And you can't let that waver, from week to week, because it's a very long season. So having a bunch of good weeks and stringing them together is important.
There is the element of luck in that too. Obviously, the bad luck version of it is having to play Ash Barty in the first round, but getting a draw that you feel comfortable with can help. But I also think, look, you're on the cusp of getting to that seed range. Like you get to the top 32, 33, 34 with injuries, whatnot, you get seeded in a major. That's huge. Then you don't have to worry about the Serena or the Osaka or the Barty in the first round. So is that weighing on you now that you've gotten to 43 and you're within striking distance of a seed?
I don't know that it's weighing on me, but it's a cool opportunity, that it is within reach. I think it's an awesome goal to have. And then, the further you go up, you get some buys, in certain tournaments, and just can create some really cool opportunities for yourself. So it's definitely things that give me more motivation, and just added bonuses from, winning more tennis matches, but definitely rewards along the way.
I know you're probably not thinking about this right now, but some of us, I'm thinking about this too. You're in the mix now for Tokyo in a couple months. Like you're firmly in there. So
is it happening? Do we know? I mean,
don't
yeah,
know.
it's definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely something cool to think about. A lot of tough competition for sure. We're going to have an amazing American team regardless of who goes. So that's cool. And I think anybody that does go has, an opportunity to get a medal there. So that's a really cool thing. Team USA all the way. We just want to see our Americans do well, right?
Yeah, the depth of the women's game can be a gift and a curse here, but it just shows you that you're in the mix. You're top 50 in the world, but it's going to be a battle to get there. But just getting to this point from a year ago is truly remarkable. Well, I'm glad to be able to talk to you, Shelby. This was fun. Looking forward to a traditional clay court season, which I think can be great for you. Starting on some of the goals that you have, does it start with good results on the red clay and then into the abbreviated grass season? What's your immediate goals, I should say, of what you're trying to accomplish and then how you hope to finish 2021?
Yeah, I think, right away is just trying to play some good tennis, it's vague, but that's what we're all trying to do out here is just, the things we work on in practice, trying to translate those into the match and come off the court feeling good about what you tried to do and were able to execute out there. Moving forward, grass will be interesting because none of us have played on grass in a couple of years. So I think we're all excited to go to London. It'll be a lot different this year. We're all staying, I think, downtown and just a lot of changes, but so excited to be back at Wimbledon, just the history there. I mean, it's a different vibe when you get on site at Wimbledon. So really excited to go back, see what the grass is doing. I mean, I think it's going to be a different sport almost going out there, but yeah, it's a very exciting 2 months coming up and I'm excited about it.
I would not sleep, and I'm talking to all the listeners out here. Your game on grass could come together. Like there's some real positive trends there and attributes. And I think Tracy Austin said when it comes together for players, it just happens fast because you only have a couple weeks a year to really play on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think 2017, I had a decent run at Wimbledon, close match against Kerber. I was, starting to understand how to play on the grass. So hopefully we can channel a little bit of that and bring it out this year.
Perfect. Well, Shelby Rogers, this was a blast. Thank you for coming on the show, talking some tennis. Best of luck with everything. And just so everybody out there is clear, Shelby Rogers, one of the nice people in tennis. And wish you.
Thanks for having me again. Appreciate it.
Except for when she's, posting a lot about Tampa Bay. Then of course, nobody's perfect, is what I'm trying to say. But no, congrats on everything. Your success has been fun to watch. And I agree. It's only getting started. So thanks for coming on Tennis Channel Inside In.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Go Bolts.